Hello everyone and welcome to Optics, featured artist in the Griffin Gallery at WinCAM. My name is Paula Tognarelli. I'm the Executive Director and Curator of the Griffin Museum of Photography in Winchester, and the Griffin Museum has collaborated with WinCAM to set up a satellite gallery here in Winchester, and it's housed at 32 Swanton Street. The gallery is free and open to the public during WinCAM's regular hours of operation, which can be found on their website, wincam.org. The featured artist for this exhibition is Rick Wright, a Philadelphia-based fine artist, architectural photographer, and also an instructor. He is showing the series Vessels of the Late Petroleum Age. This features 27 digital photographs printed with tritone pigment ink on Hahnemühle Bamboo paper. Welcome, Rick.
Thanks, Paula. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for making the trip from Philadelphia to drop off your work for the gallery. I've been a fan of your work since I met you at the portfolio reviews. I knew at the review table that I wanted to exhibit you, and I'm so glad that you've allowed us to host.
Yeah,
and
excited.
So glad that WinCAM has given the Griffin Museum this opportunity in partnership. So maybe we could start today about talking about you and who you are, where you live, occupation, schools perhaps that you've attended.
Okay.
Is that easy to
Yeah.
start?
I wasn't nervous until you just asked those questions. So I've been in Philadelphia for the last 18 years, Manhattan prior to that for about 6.
Yeah.
So I did my grad school at Columbia in painting.
Really?
So my master's is in painting.
Are you still painting?
I still draw and paint. Work from the figure just about every week at an art club, the Plastic Club in Philadelphia. So that's one of the oldest artist clubs in the country. So I still draw and paint, but I always wanted, photography was always there. Yeah. Working into my nervous system. Yeah. And so I went to ICP directly after painting my painting degree. Yeah. And took it on more seriously in Manhattan.
Wow, how lucky for us.
Yeah, sure.
Do you make your living with photography?
I do. I shoot architectural photography, so interior, exterior. I've been doing that for about 6-8 years. And I'm also an instructor in photography, and that's year-round at many different engagements.
Yeah, but in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, largely. Yeah.
All age groups.
I do. I teach a broad range. I teach. One of my favorite classes is weekly at Fleischer Art Memorial. It's a darkroom class. So we teach silver printing there in a traditional darkroom, and that's been a 12-year. Yeah. Every Tuesday for about 12 years, I've been doing that. Yeah, kind of work.
So, does your painting influence your photography?
Completely. So I draw on that incredible reservoir of all the painters that I studied and all the periods I studied, from like Baroque all the way through postmodernism. All painting has lessons for photography, and I think it's good actually to look at very different mediums to inform or instruct you in your particular medium, in this case photography. So I feel like I borrow and use that catalog, let's say, that ready catalog.
Does your experience photographing architecture in this particular series that we're going to be exhibiting, does that come into play? Yeah,
they're sisters, because there's artificial lighting, and the care and attention you put into shaping light, and whether it's a still life or lighting up something like an archaeological or anthropological subject, is the same as getting a living room right, or getting an interior room outside right. Simulating daylight, doing all these different things is all about the management of the light source. Yeah. And the control and dexterity in which you apply it.
Could you tell us a little bit about your creative process, how you thought of this process, this exhibition, this topic, And simultaneously, maybe talking about the photographers that have influenced you, but in particular this project.
Oh, I see. Sure. At the time I first got the idea, it was looking at a bottle in someone's laundry room. So it was a large jug of Tide detergent, liquid detergent, and happened to have a single light bulb above it, and so that cast the brow and the cheekbone and the eyes into such relief. I felt that I was being looked at. So there's the genesis. So part of my process also is I have long gestation periods. So that will become something I remembered, and it become an irritant.
Yeah.
And that irritant grows, and then eventually I have to contend with it. So it becomes a project eventually. Roughly that same time I was reading Edward Weston's day books.
Okay.
And of course we're all familiar with his still life subjects of shells and seaweed and bedpans, you name it, anything was a resource for him because of the way he could convert. Weston could convert the subject and give it another opportunity to be something else. It wasn't just a bedpan, it became a goose, and the pear had the shape of a female form sometimes, or a gourd had the shape of a female form. So this project was dovetailed with that, with the reading, and some of my ideas dovetailed nicely with this particular project. Yeah.
I've read what you've written about the project is you envision buildings, but also aliens. And I just discovered you're a science fiction fan.
Right, we were just talking science fiction.
Yeah.
Right.
Has that influenced?
Well, and when I read, I do a lot of reading, and I like magical realism, so Borges and others. So this idea that it feels possible, it hangs right on that edge where this might be a bit of anthropology for someone 2,000 years in the future. So I feel that I like to go and inhabit that that realm, or to create that volume, I said, in a sense, like a writer can do that, create space and texture and a feel for a place. And
Do you consider yourself a writer as well?
A little bit lately.
Yeah.
I try to write. I write short story, and as we were discussing earlier, I've been trying to do novels for the last couple years. But in any way, it's the kinship with fiction, but like pinned down with some realism, pinned down with, did that really happen, or can that happen? Yeah,
so you
that kind
also
of thing.
Have a very active imagination.
I hope so. I try to fuel
Thankfully,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I can just envision you walking the streets at night trying to find product to photograph.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
You're alluding to the year-long process of walking around and trying to hold these bottles up to the light and see exactly their shape and form, and see the potential in them.
So out there on recycling day?
Yeah, it was Tuesday nights in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So it was a ritual, a ritual roaming of the streets, a crazy man out there.
And your decision for black and white?
I came late in the project.
Yeah.
If you get into the mindset of an anthropologist, they would probably want to demonstrate this flamboyant color. If someone from the year 4000 found these, maybe let's imagine them preserved and their full scale of color and hue, which is shocking green, shocking red, shocking yellow. Nobody's holding back with plastic bottles in terms of their coloration, but there was just some lack of satisfaction because that became the portrait itself. The color was the portrait. It was in essence just about that, and to me it was interfering with the language of the form. And so kicking it back into black and white, the abstraction of black and white helped me see and bring out some of the character of the more anthropological facts of it. broken lines, disturbances in the plastic mold, the very texture of the object. These things were no longer plastic and black and white. They looked like obsidian, or carved stone, or dented wood and brick. These kind of textures. So that was why black and white sort of ruled and came over.
It kind of neutralizes the playing field. I wonder if also the body of work has some essence about our planet.
Right.
You're recycling product into an art form. Has some allusion to early Columbian work.
Yeah.
Do you think any of audiences would take this as, because they are faces, persons. I don't see it this way, but I wonder if some public would think of it in terms of the other.
Right.
Have you had any feedback on that?
The only sensation I get about otherness is just other culture, or imagined future culture, and the conceit of the whole job, the whole conceit of this thing is that the anthropologist got it wrong, and so I mean that to be full of humor.
Yeah.
How we do this all the time. We think we have it right as we study past cultures, but I love the idea of him getting off on the wrong track. And you'll see even in the title of the work, it's called Vessels.
Can you do the full title?
Yeah, so Vessels of the Late Petroleum Age, meaning he's looking back over 2 millennia, and trying to sort out why were there so many. Why were they in this form, or at least the form the anthropologist thinks they were? So I think it's supposed to be rich terrain without over-directing the viewer.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm trying to produce opportunity, and not be too specific, or too blunt.
Yeah.
Right. So so the connections are there 100%. I did look at a lot of that work. Photographs by Levi Strauss and other just of that era, 30s, 40s, 50s, black and white photography of anthropological objects, archaeology. So that was all part of my programming, getting ready to do this. Yeah. And then I left it aside as I started to work.
When I look at these, I think of Stonehenge. I think of totems. I think we shouldn't ignore the other. We're all other to someone.
Right.
You've had several opportunities to exhibit this work. Can you talk about that a little?
Oh, that's just beginning. So I was out in Portland at the Camera Work Gallery in Portland, Oregon. That show was in the fall, started at late October and ran through November. That was a great experience, incredible contiguous curved wall out there in Portland. So it was great for the work because you felt like you were looking at the elders of some other world. It really did have that quality. Or the board members, the board presidents of the intergalactic agencies, the UN of the galaxy. It had a little bit of that kind of quality to it because of that perfect linearity.
The ambassadors of the planet.
Truly.
We've seen that in the sci-fi books and movies, right?
Truly. So that was pleasing. That visual impact was really nice there. And I've been in a couple publications recently,
including Lenswork.
Lenswork magazine was a real boost. And,
it really was
really fun.
I mean, look at the
great
opportunity.
Reproductions.
Yes,
incredibly well done.
2, 3, 4.
They put a few
5,
in there.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's great.
Can't argue with that.
And then you're also on the digital version too.
Yeah,
correct?
Right. And there's a magazine called Beta Dip, which
Dip. Where's that out of?
That's out of Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Jeff Morefoot, and so I was in with 3 other photographers from Portland, Portland's Photolucida.
Okay.
So he plucked a few of us out
Oh, good.
of that crop.
And there was a thread
Yeah.
between the three of you, did you see?
I wouldn't. No,
No,
I wouldn't.
okay.
It wasn't. It certainly wasn't overt.
Yeah.
We don't. The mind of the curator works.
Yeah.
In these lovely
Right.
undercurrents. So I wouldn't say that I spotted anything overt, but
Yeah.
there certainly was a nice company to be in for that magazine as
great.
well. Yeah.
I think I met you at Photolucida too, no?
This year, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's where we had our
I
first
do so
contact.
many, I can't remember which one,
Yeah.
where I meet
So
people.
we met in the spring
Okay.
of 2019.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you been able to witness audiences looking at the work?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's nice to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
I love to take on the role of just observer or non-photographer. I pretend I'm the brother of the artist, or however you want to see it. And so yeah, you can listen in.
How about children?
Not as much. I couldn't say I'd have an experience, except I take it back. I have a very good friend. His young son's 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And he was looking through lens work, and he got it immediately.
Yeah.
He
knew what they were.
Yeah, he was taking in his face. He went through every face and brought out the attributes in his own body, as though play acting the character.
Yeah.
So yeah, he understood.
I really like work that the topic affects the viewer in a soft way, rather than hitting people over the head with a topic that may have consequences. An example, if we wanted to talk about the earth and what we've done to the earth, if you come right out and talk about that, I think people shy away. They may not want to be confronted. They want to enjoy the work. And I think your work actually goes in a number of directions when the audience looks at it. Perhaps they see it for what you're showing them. And then I think it lingers. They think about the title, The Petroleum Age. And I think it does a lot more service to our public when we bring it in gently, rather than, an example would be, you're talking about plastics pollution. We have some photographers that have photographed the plastic in the bellies of the albatross. It serves a point, but how long can you look at that and without running from the room? I think your work reverberates. It lasts. People go home and talk about it over the dining room table, and I commend you. And I love the fact that it has a touch of humor too.
Yeah.
Because it humanizes you and the photograph, and then those who interpret the photograph.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you really would like
Well,
to
maybe
say?
a couple other points. Yeah,
Okay.
but a follow up to what you just said
Okay.
is, in terms of takeaways, people will laugh. And that's part of the work. That's maybe the entry point, the soft entry point. There are others that are positively terrified to see, maybe there's a language here hidden. And I play around with the idea that the designers knew exactly what they were doing. Who are the industrial designers that have put it into this form, accidental or otherwise? I like to play around in my mind with, there's an intentionality to maybe make this a little more ominous. For those that can see past and into that different layer of the work. So this dark edge to it, certainly. And I love that it's sort of running along those lines, fusing those two.
I think there are some people in audiences that never move past what they see. It will always be the humor that they see in it. But on the most part, I think that people like to dig deeper. And I'm okay with those that come and observe it and love it for what they see. I'm okay with that.
Sure.
But I'm always hoping that people go home and take something with it.
Yeah, like a good novel.
Like a good novel.
Like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. That you wrote.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I have 30,000 words yet
Yeah.
on this one that I'm on.
All
So,
typewriter?
I do
You do.
completely on typewriter. So
Yeah.
it's quite a lovely thing to. You have the blank papers over here. There's 225 pages is what that takes
Yeah.
to make 50,000 words.
Yeah.
And then you have what you've completed. So that's a little tiny pile that grows, and this one goes down and that one goes up.
Yeah.
So there's a analog physicality to your progress versus just into the computer. You know, it just keeps going into data, but it's nice to see that those two piles go different directions as you wade into it. Yeah.
What are your future plans with this body of work?
I like to just keep the publishing is my next idea. I'd love
Yep.
to see I don't know the character of it yet or the spirit, but I know that I would like to see a book, maybe in the guise of an archaeological field guide.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's too playful
Yeah. Oh, I don't
or
think so.
too youthful. I don't know. Something that might be just fine if it's
Yeah.
done well.
Yeah.
As though something discovered on the shelves
Yeah. Did you
in an academic setting.
ever
you know.
read Patrick Nagatani's The Race?
No.
I have an extra
Patrick
copy.
Nagatani,
I
hand it
have
to
an
me.
extra copy. I'll send it to you.
Okay,
I think you like it.
lovely. So that may lead somewhere, but I would love to produce a book for this. Yeah.
And we are doing a show catalog that'll
Great.
be
Lovely.
available towards the reception date, which is the end of
March 19th.
March 19th.
Yeah.
You have a good memory.
I'm already booking
crypt
I'm
notes.
booking my dates. Yeah. Yeah.
And Alison Nordstrom's writing an essay.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
That's wonderful, and that will go in your future book.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. So I'll have some mileage to get out of find its
Yeah.
way into other things.
She's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I know you're probably a long thinker as well for the future. Any ideas for the next project mulling up there and
I'm in
that intellect of
I'm
yours?
in the middle of 3 of them.
Oh,
Right.
just 3.
Yeah. No, they're all ideas. They're like again long gestation
Yeah.
periods. I am playing around with the idea of experience, which is iPad and screens, and how those are held in front of us. And as we go through life, the real is beyond, and the synthetic capture is in front. And so I'm dealing with that on a photographic level of the synthetic is occluding or blocking, but yet the real still remains. So it's interesting. I'm just trying to get into the idea of how are we making new memories of experience? And is our experience of the thing a mediated version of the real? And I think it's starting to become. We're starting to accept the floating rectangle as the real,
Yeah.
in effect. And we're taking memories from experiences from that space. So I'm trying to get that into a visual language. So that project's pretty well begun.
That's great.
And trying to find that.
So we
yeah.
might see something.
Yeah, you
So-
may see something by spring. Yeah,
That's great.
certainly. Yeah.
I haven't asked you this, but perhaps around the time of the reception, day of reception, whatever, maybe we could do a talk for the public while you're here.
Okay. Yeah. You mean like an open panel?
Yeah,
That'd
Yeah. Would you be open to
Lovely, completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
because you are so eloquent. I think they.
I like talking to you. You're making the questions easy.
Oh, good. It's because
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. I'm just kidding.
We're getting to a good place with it. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I know you a little bit, and I do feel comfortable with you.
Great.
And you're easy to talk to.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think we could conclude here unless you have something more to say.
No.
I just hope our public and WinCAM's public will come to see the exhibition. And thank you so much for traveling here with your wife
My pleasure.
and
Yeah.
the photographs.
Susan,
They're safe that
Susan
way.
is in the back. Hello,
Yeah.
Susan.
Hello, Susan.
Hi.
Hello, public. All right, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Paula. All right. Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Optics, featured artist in the Griffin Gallery at WinCAM. Vessels of the Late Petroleum Age by photographer Rick Wright will be on display in the gallery from January 18th through April 16th, with a reception on Thursday, March 19th. It's free and open to the public during WinCAM's regular hours of operation. For more information on the Griffin Gallery at WinCAM or other programs offered by either the Griffin or WinCAM, please feel free to call or email at any time. Thank you so much for watching.